All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful morning. It is May 28, 2025, and you got a big day because it's Nvidia earnings. So yesterday, the back and forth with the trade deals, that's what gave us the optimism. Everybody went one way and was feeling good considering the downside we had last week. And now this morning, there was bad data or information out of the Japanese bond auction. Global yields are kind of on edge right now today. We're still kind of worried about that, but now whatever happens with Nvidia, this could either be a tailwind or a headwind as we get into the second half of the year. So, Chatadonia, I hope you're ready for it. Don't let the holiday fool you. It's already Wednesday. We're halfway done with the week. I know, but I hope you're ready for a good one. It all happens after the bell. And don't forget, all that matters is guidance, baby. But good morning. Oh, what up, Tim? Good day start. Malcolm, Dos, Alex, Enzo, Mr. Mark, and Laker J. Good morning, baby. What up, Christ? What up, Tyson? Good morning, Dev, Carlos, Lucky Soldier, Andrew Griffin, A-Ray, Andrew, Crystal, Noah, Mr. Nate, Mock J, Connor Mac, Alex M.I.A., Caesar, Matt, Dewey, Big Rocky. What up, baby? Good morning, winning loser. What up, Mr. Walters? Kyrie, CG, Astagos, Coast Pimples, baby, Mr. Edwards, Ion, Striker, Mitch Matsuno. Good morning, baby. What up, Cholo? What up, Louise? What up, the one and only? Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Jamar. Oh, my goodness. What about the Twitch? Lord Boomerang, Toy Soldier, Feed Me Seymour, El Coyote, Iron Beagle, Lizzie, Payday Devil, Dio, Green Shoats, 12 Jimin, Robo, Handtech, and El Coyote and Pie Guy. Good morning, everybody. Oh, yeah, so let's have a fun one. Welcome to the middle of the week. Again, it'll probably, most of the action will be after the bell, but here is Josh AI with the news. Good morning. Stock futures inch higher as focus turns to Nvidia. U.S. stock futures are slightly up ahead of Nvidia Corp's earnings as investors waited to gauge the impact of the trade war and outlook for artificial intelligence. S&P 500 contracts rose 0.1% after the index jumped 2% in the previous session. Nvidia, the last of the big tech cohort to report earnings, rose 0.6% in early trading. The dollar was steady while treasuries dipped. European stocks ticked down 0.3% in a year in which Trump's tariff war has spurred significant market volatility. There's high anticipation around the AI bellwether's earnings that are due after the close on Wednesday. The chipmaker's blistering multi-year rally has already faced scrutiny over whether massive investment in AI is justified, and as its products have gotten caught up in U.S.-China trade acrimony, Nvidia earnings are going to be really significant, said Justin Onakusi, Chief Investment Officer at St. James's Place in London. The fact that macro investors now look at Nvidia as an event shows just how big that company has become. As the turnaround in stocks from April's lows shows signs of stalling, investor exposure to equities remains low enough that the path of least resistance is higher. According to strategists at Barclays PLC, institutional investors weren't a big part of the stock rebound in May, with positioning remaining broadly underweight. Absent a volatility shock, systematic buying could continue to help equities to grind higher, the team led by Emmanuel Cao wrote in a note. Meanwhile, lackluster investor appetite at a 40-year Japanese bond auction added to concerns in global debt markets. The nation's 30-year yield jumped 10 basis points following the auction. U.S. Treasuries of the same maturity snapped 3 days of gains, with the yield rising 3 basis points to 4.98%. Unless fundamental concerns about further yield increases driven by supply-demand imbalances and expectations for fiscal expansion are resolved, this is not the right timing to engage in outright purchases or flattener trade, said Mickey Den, a senior rate strategist at SMBC Nikko Securities in Tokyo. The dollar was little changed, trading close to its lowest levels since 2023. The currency has slumped more than 7% this year on the back of a retreat from U.S. assets. The fundamental reasons weighing on the U.S. dollar, trade tensions, and swelling debt concerns remain intact, said Ipek Ozkardiskaya, an analyst at Swissquote Bank. The latest rebound is unlikely to mark a sustainable shift in sentiment. Corporate highlights: Stellantis NV appointed its Americas head, Antonio Filosa, as chief executive officer, relying on an experienced company insider to turn around the automaker. UniCredit SPA has doubled its holding in Alpha Services and Holdings SA to about 20%, marking yet another transaction for the Italian lender. Shine Group Limited is considering switching its planned initial public offering to Hong Kong from London. People familiar with the matter said. Nissan Motor Company, facing a huge loan repayment wall next year, is seeking to raise more than 1 trillion yen, $7 billion from debt and asset sales to keep operations on track, according to internal documents seen by Bloomberg News. British American Tobacco plc increased its offering of Indian tobacco manufacturer ITC Limited stock to about $1.5 billion, according to terms of the deal seen by Bloomberg News. Honeywell International Inc. is expected to add an executive from activist investor Elliott Investment Management to its board ahead of Honeywell's split into 3 companies. The Wall Street Journal has reported the Trump administration issued a stripped-down license to Chevron Corp to remain in Venezuela, allowing the company to conduct minimal maintenance on equipment. Macy's Inc. posted better-than-expected quarterly results, a sign the department store operator's strategy of focusing on its best-performing locations is starting to pay off. Weak auction keeps pressure on Japan to reduce long bond supply. Japanese sovereign bonds fell after an auction of 40-year debt met the weakest demand since July, adding pressure on the government to reduce issuance of such securities. The 40-year yield rose 5 basis points following the sale to 3.335%. Yields on this maturity and the 30-year tenor last week reached the highest on record after the softest demand since 2012 at an auction of 20-year bonds. The fact today's auction didn't go very well supports the narrative that the government will adjust its issuance of super long bonds, said Kazuhiro Sasaki, head of research at Phillips Securities Japan. Wednesday's sale was a key test globally for longer tenors amid concern that rising government spending will take budget deficits into dangerous territory. In Japan, it was also being viewed as an important gauge of appetite from large institutional investors who have not filled the gap left by the central bank reducing its purchases. Nvidia to have final say on strong earnings season for big tech. The focus in the firm's first quarter earnings report will be the supply of computer systems based on its new Blackwell chips, which faced manufacturing hiccups that hampered sales in the fourth quarter amid heavy demand. The Santa Clara, California-based company is projected to deliver around $19 billion in net income on revenue of $43 billion in the first quarter, up 31% and 66% respectively from the same period a year ago. And another thing investors will be watching closely is profit margins. In February, Nvidia said higher costs associated with the ramp-up of Blackwell production would weigh on gross margins in the first quarter. Gross margins should return to the dimes, mid-70s by the end of the year from a projection of roughly 71% in the first quarter. Chief Financial Officer Colette Kress said at the time, "We did see a slowdown in margins last quarter, and if we see them shrink again, that could bring the stock down," said Andrew Rocco, a stock strategist at Zacks Investment Research. "I don't think we'll see a huge surprise with this report one way or the other, but there is a risk with the outlook." Top overnight news, markets, global shares steady as the U.S. dollar gains. Focus shifts to Nvidia's earnings amid trade optimism. Reuters, auction of 40 YJGBs draws weakest demand since July of Bloomberg. Markets betting that the worst of Trump's trade war is now over, but valuations being questioned amid the uncertainty. Vantage, Trump's trade war risks an unwinding of Asia's $7, 5T investment in U.S. assets. Bloomberg, Trump's inconsistency on tariffs and exchange rates leaves yen directionless since April. Nikkei, PBOC pivots to slowing yuan's appreciation following period of support. Bloomberg, trade tariffs
Over 70% of U.S. small and mid-sized businesses report increased costs from tariffs, but remain optimistic about global growth. Axios. Japan offered to buy billions of dollars of U.S. chips during last round of trade talks. Reuters. Broad U.S. and EU trade deals seen unlikely in 2025 given political and public resistance in Europe. Politico. UK pushes for further tariff relief as Trump holds firm on 10% baseline for UK exports. Politico. India has offered U.S. deep tariff cuts, but not to zero, and is seeking to retain higher levies on sensitive agricultural products. FT. European firms in China cite domestic economic slowdown as a greater challenge than the trade war. FT. Bloomberg. Central banks. Fed's Williams warns pandemic price shocks altered inflation perceptions, urges policymakers to anchor expectations. Bloomberg. BOJ Governor Ueda warns super long JGB volatility could affect short-term rates. Bloomberg. Reuters. Christine Lagarde may shorten her ECB term to chair the World Economic Forum, says Klaus Schwab. FT. RBNZ cuts interest rates, but debated whether to hold. Bloomberg. Corporate. Nvidia's Wednesday report will reveal costs of U.S. chip curbs on China. Bloomberg. Reuters. Axios. Nvidia's suppliers resume production of Blackwell AI servers after resolving technical issues, boosting sales. FT. Apple planning to announce dedicated video games app just days after Switch 2 release in June. Bloomberg. Google developing new augmented reality glasses aiming to merge physical and digital worlds. Axio. Nissan offers buyouts to U.S. workers and suspends wage increases amid global cost-cutting measures. Reuters. Nippon Steel expected to close U.S. Steel acquisition at original $55/H offer. CNBC. Include golden share for U.S. government. Nikkei. Retailers battered by Trump's trade war increasingly willing to entertain take-private deals. Reuters. Trump administration grants Chevron a limited license for maintenance in Venezuela, barring oil production. Bloomberg. Price war among China auto firms stirs speculation of industry consolidation. Reuters. Economy. Economists trim China inflation projections despite more upbeat view on growth following U.S. tariff truce. Bloomberg. ECB says euro area inflation expectations rose to 3.1% in April, the highest since February 2024. Bloomberg. German labor market slumps as unemployment nears 3M threshold. Reuters. French consumer spending rose 0.3% in April, below expectations, following weak household demand. Bloomberg. Taiwan's economy projected to grow slower in 2025 due to uncertainty over U.S. tariffs. Reuters. Bloomberg. Australian monthly inflation firmer than expected, but rate cut expectations remain intact. Bloomberg. Washington. Elon Musk criticizes Trump's tax legislation, arguing it undermines his recent cost-saving efforts. FT. Bloomberg. Trump says government will retain implicit guarantee and oversight role if Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac become public firms. Bloomberg. Geopolitics. Putin demands written NATO expansion halt and sanctions lifting to end the Ukraine war, sources say. Reuters. U.S. and Russia clash over Ukraine war as tensions rise with troop movements and drone attacks. Reuters. Russia reportedly preparing for major offensive this summer as Trump says Putin playing with fire. Reuters. More speculation. Israel is threatening to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. NY Times. Trump warns against it. Axios. Trump claims Canada would pay $61 billion for missile defense or nothing if it becomes a state. FT. Energy. OPEC Plus meets online to review production quotas, with key members deciding on July output hikes. Bloomberg.
And then you also have news right now. BMW and Mercedes and Volkswagen in talks with U.S. Trade Ministry on tariffs and aiming for agreement in July. EU agreed to speak to Greer and Lutnick every other day. So yeah, and then OPEC meeting is just starting, but that's why Stellantis automakers be on the lookout for that. But Chatadonia, there's more. S&P futures, they are up by 0.1 on Wednesday morning. Comes after U.S. equities rallied sharply to start off the week. S&P jumped over 2%, with more than 90% of the index finishing up for the day. Big tech, most shorted, tariff-exposed, small caps, travel, leisure, and chemicals. Some of the standouts, treasuries mostly weaker with the curve bear steepening. Dollar little change. Gold is up by 0.3 after losing nearly 2% in the prior session. Bitcoin down by 0.9, and WTI is up by 0.9. No big directional drivers following the Tuesday rally driven by the latest Trump tariff off-ramp. Rate reprieve from potential JGB issuance tweaks and bounce in sentiment data. Upside seems to be exasperated by technical and mechanical dynamics. Weak 40-year JGB auction in Japan getting a lot of attention and helping push global yields higher, though results not necessarily surprising, and spillover limited by recent speculation of super long issuance could be dialed back. Nothing particularly incremental in trade talks or reconciliation bill. Mixed to better takeaways from retail apparel results this morning, though focus is on Nvidia after the close. While reports will likely have some moving pieces due to China export restrictions and some debate into the print about positioning and sentiment dynamics, still expected to underpin the favorable AI narrative. Richmond Fed manufacturing on the U.S. economic calendar today. Treasury in focus with $70 billion of 5-year notes. In addition, May FOMC minutes out at 2. FOMC statement noted further increase in uncertainty surrounding economic outlook and heightened risk of higher inflation and higher unemployment. Looking ahead, Thursday brings release of Q1 GDP, initial claims, pending home sales, flurry of Fed speak, Barkin, Goolsby, Kugler, Daly, and Logan, and $44 billion of 7-year notes. Personal income and spending report included on headline, and core PC inflation on Friday, along with final University of Michigan consumer sentiment. Retail. Apparel earnings in focus this morning. DKS results fit with positive pre-announcement and reiterated full-year guide. A&F up big with Hollister-driven beat. Outsized buybacks and slightly better full-year revenue growth guide. Macy's Q1 better with full-year sales guide reiterated. And EPS down on tariffs and competitive environment and moderation in discretionary spending. Capri lowered full-year margin guide elsewhere on the earnings front. Okta down on softer Q2 CRPO guide. Box beat and raised. HEI takeaways focused on aerospace strength and FSMG margin performance. SMTC takeaways positive on data center, though beat may have underwhelmed. Financial Times said Nvidia supplies resolved AI rack issues, helping sales. MTN boosted by CEO transition. Mobileye up on eyes off driving deal. VRT announced CFO retirement and reaffirmed guide. Elon named CFO and reaffirmed guidance. Honeywell adding third-point rep to board. GIS announced push to boost productivity. TRV to sell Canadian segments for $2.4 billion. GPN to divest payroll business for $1.1 billion. MSI and RKLB both announced acquisitions. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac up on Trump government backing comments. Wow, Habibi, not bad at all. And then we got some pre-market movers. Number one is Fannie Mae. They're up 16 on more Trump comments about taking them private. Mobileye is up by 5, says selected by global automakers for eyes-off driving. TS is up by 4.3, up to $1.2 billion repurchase program. Elevance is up by 3, reaffirms full-year guide, includes benefits expense ratio ahead of investor meeting. CVS up in sympathy. RKLB up 2.6, acquires Geos for $275 million. DKS up 2.6 off earnings. GME up 2.3, announcement of purchase of 4,710 Bitcoin. BWXT is up by 1.1, initiated outperform at William Blair. Tiva is up by 1.5, FDA fast track designation. Initiated by at Truist. FICO is up 1.2, Baird upgrade. HEI up 1.0 earnings. A&F up 26 off earnings. FMCC up 18 on Trump comments. And Vitis up 15 off nothing. MTN up 12, board of Robert Katz to return as CEO. Box is up by 10 off earnings. Joby up 9.9, closes 250 investment from Toyota. Macy's up 3.7 off earnings. Biohaven up 3.0, data update ahead of ADC R&D Day. BBAI is up by 2.7. SPRO up 2.27. Phase 3 study of terbinafine stopped early for efficacy. Oh, what's it related to? I forgot the drug. It's actually a big one, though. SPRO, what the drug they're working on is big. BROG is up by 5.8. Proposed sale of BPIGC FZE. Livewire is up by 54%. UHG is up 13. Insider buy. MNRO is up 7.8 off earnings. TRVI up 5.8. Initiated by HC Wainwright. Trading lower, Okta down 11 off earnings, VIC down 3.4, 30 million share offering, BAH down 2.5, Goldman downgrade, Pinduoduo down 2.0, Hutag downgrade, earnings follow through, MSTR down 1.5, SW down 1.1, PLab down 10.3, earnings CEO transition, Galaxy down 8.5, 29 million share offering, GDS down 7.9, offers 500 million convertible note, Capri down 4.8 off earnings, KC down 4.1 off earnings, VNet down 4 off earnings, SOC down 2.8, hydro testing update, no more repairs required, PAR down 1.7, Goldman downgrade, FRPT down 1.5, TD Cohen downgrade, IFRX down 56, Halt's phase 3 trial, EJH down 19, GWH down 16, notice of potential layoffs, CODI down 13, announces liquidity actions including forbearance agreement with lenders, and API down 3.7 off of earnings. All that matters is guidance. Oh yeah, tell them. Chatadonia. Not bad, baby. Not bad at all. So yeah, that is all the place. Again, a decent amount of moves. I don't know if it's going to be big or not prior. I'm leaning towards we don't really do much, and then everybody moves after the bell. But you never know, and we're coming off of a lot in the last 2 weeks. But now, Chatadonia, you know the vibe. Welcome to the cult. And here at the cult, before we do anything, before we try to chase a dollar, before we try to enrich ourselves, we must pay homage to a very special group of people that has made a sacrifice that most of us never have and ever will. And I'm talking about the veterans of the United States of America. So on behalf of the cult, the people here, the people not here, I want to give a huge special shout out. Active service, past service, anybody who has served this country, even the families, thank you. Thank you for everything you have given. If anybody should be getting a long-term in crib, it should be you. And if you're listening right now and you haven't served, I really hope that you could bring this love and appreciation to real life. We need to honor and take some responsibility and show some appreciation to the freedoms that we have day in and day out. And there was people that came before us and made that sacrifice day in and day out. So we've already seen a lot of positive changes, man. Use your voice, and I really hope, above all, this is not just something we do online. I really hope that you bring this to real life and keep advancing this culture. So veterans, everyone who has served, even the families, God bless all of you, and thank you, thank you, thank you, and big shout out anybody else out there giving back to their local communities, doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, the janitors, the coaches, the garbage men, anybody making their community run. God bless you and thank you, baby. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise up. Place your right hand over your heart. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, baby. Son of the church! Oh, it's game time, baby. Oh, no. Let's go. That's a loud horn. That's a brand new one. He ready to go. He ready to go, baby. Oh, yeah. Happy Wednesday, bro. Middle of the week. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah. So we got some good time. We got about 5 minutes. If you have any plays, we could go over them here in a little bit. But, yeah. So let me see what we got for you, baby. Let's move on over to Gen Pop. So then that way, and then we'll go over the plays. We'll start our day, and then we'll have a good one, baby. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So here it is. God bless you, Chad. Make it a good one. And again, it's either going to be big move or no move prior to Nvidia earnings. Will you be positioned appropriately? That is all that is going to matter. So God bless you, Chad. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I will see you there, and peace.